Hey YouTube, so this video is going to be about the pros and cons of working out in a gym versus working out by doing manual labouring jobs. I'm going to cover the pros and cons, although this is going to be quite heavily one-sided because one of those methods is just considerably better than the other. So this video is kind of inspired by what could loosely be described as a discussion in the comment section of someone else's video, and the guy basically ended up just calling me all sorts of names, just being as rude as possible, ignoring all the points I made, ignoring the legitimate sources, being really aggressive, and then calling me a roid head. So I'm the roid head apparently, even though I was the one talking calmly and rationally for some reason, and I don't even take that as an insult anyway. I don't take any performance enhancing drugs, but if you think that my level of strength and my level of muscularity is such that it couldn't possibly be achieved without them, I'm going to take that as a compliment. It shows what I'm doing is working. So, yeah, with that out the way, let's get on with this. So there is one very strong, argument in favour of manual labour, and that is it trains you to have a much better work ethic. You can't make excuses whereas if you go to the gym, it's very easy to go, oh, I've got a little pain in my leg, oh, I'm not feeling very good today, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to go in, and you of course can just take a day off. When you're working, it's a lot harder to get away with doing that, and if you do it too often, you're going to find yourself very quickly out of a job. So in terms of work ethic and training yourself to be more motivated, manual labour does have quite a distinct advantage in that regard. When it comes to motivation for having a good diet, on the other hand, I think the gym wins hands down. If you're doing manual labour, you need to be healthy enough to do and fit enough to do the job, and beyond that, you can get away with eating whatever the hell you want. When it comes to working out in a gym and trying to set PRs and trying to make your body look as good as possible, there's a lot more of a motivator in terms to keep your diet in check, because you're trying to constantly improve instead of just having the motivation to be good enough to do what you're doing, and that's it. When it comes to money, of course, you have to pay for gym membership. You're looking at like £40 a month in England for a decent gym. A pretty considerable chunk of your income, and if you're working in low-paying jobs, yeah, doing manual labour and labouring could be better financially. If, however, you're looking to actually make decent money, you're probably not going to be looking at doing some sort of manual labouring job, and so you'd actually be earning more money by going into a well-paying job and paying for gym membership. As for fitness, yeah, absolutely. Doing manual labouring, you can achieve a really good level of fitness. So, when I was after 5 years labouring, I went into the gym for the first time, and I was able to squat 80 kilos for 10 reps, which is generally considered pretty damn good. And I was also one of the strongest guys there, and yeah, that's pretty impressive. However, I took quite a few years off of labouring, and my fitness ended up going to shit, and after 4 months I was able to achieve what took me 5 years to do before, and after 2 years training in the gym, I'm nearly twice as strong as I was when I was doing the labouring. This is quite anecdotal, but my gym results aren't that unusual, and I was one of the strongest guys there out of a very, very large sample of people. So, I do think that is still fairly strong evidence. Also, yeah, I've managed to run a half marathon after when I was a bin man for 5 years, and I managed to do a half marathon with zero training whatsoever. Yeah, that's certainly very fit compared with the average person. but I could have achieved the same result by doing a 17-week marathon training program instead. So again, 5 years compared with 17 weeks. Going to a gym is just far more efficient when it comes to achieving your fitness goals, because everything in the gym and your program, it should all be perfectly designed in order to, well, not perfectly, but it's designed with the purpose of increasing your fitness as efficiently as possible. When you're labouring, however, that isn't the case. Your boss isn't designing your job to improve your fitness, he's designing the job to make money as efficiently as possible for himself. If you're doing labouring, of course, you are going to improve your fitness, but that's not what it's designed to do, so it's not going to do that as effectively as something which is designed to do that. And I've heard the argument that, well, if you're doing labouring, you're going to be doing like 40 hours a week compared with 5 hours a week in a gym, so of course doing 40 hours is going to be better than doing 5 hours, even if it's not as efficient. But no, that's not really the case either, and depending on how intense it is, it's either not going to be intense enough in order to force your body to adapt, or it's going to be too intense and put you at further risk of injuries and that kind of thing, and end up not being as effective as going to the gym. If going to the gym, if 40 hours labouring was as effective as 5 hours in the gym, people would just do more hours in the gym, but they don't do that. If you look at pretty much any Olympic athlete, they don't get their fitness by doing manual labouring. They get their fitness by putting in hours at the gym. And if it was better to do the labouring, they're not idiots. There's lots of money spent researching fitness and that kind of thing. If it was better, they would be doing the labouring instead. So some of the problems when it comes to labouring, quite often you're doing a very limited range of activities. You're going to end up with muscle imbalances over time. Whereas if you start getting muscle imbalances in the gym, you'll adjust what you're doing in order to compensate for that if you've got any level of intelligence. Work-related illnesses. Doing labouring is far more dangerous than going to the gym. No questions, hands down. Gym equipment is designed to be as safe as possible. You don't have to deal with sawdust, stone dust, toxic chemicals, vehicle fumes, any of those kind of chemical dangers. You don't have to deal with dangerous equipment, and by dangerous I mean with sharp edges and very powerful motors which you can chop you in half. You don't have to deal with falling from high heights, or any number of other hazards which are there from doing manual labour. And I'm not shitting on doing manual labour. I think it's a great thing. I think that every man should be doing it at some point in his life in order to train him to actually have a decent work ethic. But it's just not as effective as going to the gym. So I've got some data here from the NHS. If I can just load it up. Where the hell's it gone? So around 13,000 deaths per year from work-related lung diseases. That's just each year. If you consider how much of the population is actually doing that job and for how many years, that is a worryingly high figure. It's also got about estimated 1,980 new cases of work-related ill health from 146 GPs who did this survey. Musculoskeletal disorders account for 47% of that. You're looking at roughly 1% of the male population going to GPs with those issues. Manual labourers are disproportionately affected by that. You could be looking at 4, 5, 6% of manual labourers going to the GP each year with these kind of issues, and that's just each year, tearing their bodies apart, and that's just the people who actually went to the doctors. You've got morons like me who will break a rib doing manual labouring and still carry on going. So yeah, manual labouring can be very, very dangerous. In the years I've seen it, I've seen 2 people die. I've seen another person get his leg run over by a lorry. I've seen 2 people get their ribs broken. I've seen broken ankles. I've seen so many injuries. It's painful to even think about it. So if you think that manual labouring is better for your health than going to the gym, I really don't know. I really don't know what to say. I mean, the evidence really strongly speaks against that. Also, when it comes to life expectancy, you look at people who go to the gym regularly, such as world-class male athletes. Their life expectancy is quite a bit higher than the general population. Genetics may well play a part for that, but from all the evidence I've seen, gym goers who don't use drugs, especially, do live longer, healthier, more pain-free lives than the general population. When it comes to occupational life expectancy, however, the evidence is very, very clear. Manual labourers don't live as long as people who do non-manual work. So yeah, there we have it. Going to the gym, far more efficient at getting results in fitness. The results you do get are going to be much better. Doing any manual labouring job, you're going to end up plateauing eventually. Your fitness, it's going to reach a point where it's not going to get better because the workload isn't going to increase enough to compensate for what you're doing, and so your body isn't going to adapt any further. At the gym, you can always add extra weights. You can always force yourself to run further or longer or more frequently, and so you can continue to adapt for a much longer period. Manual labour, I think, wins when it comes to motivation, but in terms of health effects, in terms of longevity, in terms of results, going to the gym just wins hands down. So thanks for watching, comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.